Yeah.
Kate, Meg and I will be looking at all the assessments in week 9. So we want to incorporate AI into those assessments, either saying that they can use AI at these sort of levels or not use AI, and also bring in that traffic light system you had there. But we want to be consistent across all of 7 to 10 and then incorporate into 11 and 12s. But we're doing to 7 to 10s.
Yep.
And yeah, we'd love your advice on how to.
Yeah, brilliant. So we're looking at you're rewriting, or you're looking at your assessments in week 9, and then you're starting 7 and going to 10, or going from 10 to 7?
Well, we'll probably do 7 and 9 first, because we started the new curriculum in those.
Yeah.
And then if we have time, we'll work on the 8s, but I've got another time period to work on those. But
yeah.
In the same time, we'll get whiz into it, which is the English thing, which Meg's been trained in.
Yep.
Each one of them will have a whiz component. We want the AI components, and we want them just to be consistent across, so they all look the same format and stuff.
Yeah, which makes sense.
But the AI will think about it. We're just about to do a Year 10 assessment, which is they write an essay.
The biotech essay.
Okay.
Yeah, biotech essay.
So are we rejigging that?
I'm going to read.
You're gonna have to have
I'm
a
gonna be rejigging
validation.
this year anyway, because
I'm
I'm wondering whether to do an in-class essay and they bring in notes for it.
Yeah, English actually were doing something where they had gone home, written it, then they had 20 minutes with their notes, and then they had the remaining 50 to write it or something. And I was thinking, would you get them to do like an annotated bibliography, or even they could get ChatGPT to do that or something to help them? I'm not sure, yeah.
So, yeah, perfect. So looking at modelling some sort of success, and then looking at that AI traffic light system, just to have a consistent lens for all your tasks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're on the right track with the ways we work with it, and it comes down to first the communication we got with the kids.
Yeah.
So we'll break down a few strategies. The AI framework, which is the pre-task one, which is like the AI traffic light system, making sure we categorize things in the right order, so then you can communicate that with your students, so then they don't feel like they're being sneaky or being naughty, and they're not trying to get in trouble because you don't know where they stand.
Yeah.
And then it can be applied to any of those assessments that you're looking at.
Okay.
So that'll be our first step. And then
Can kids at school, what years can access AI? Like, is it blocked by?
some will, but what's happening with a lot of the AIs at the moment with the system, they're going through rolling, like blocking processes. So they unlock for a bit, and then something flags, and then it locks it again. So it's all based on, right time, right place. So
if you were going to do a lesson, teach them how to use it, you can't be sure whether or not it's going to work.
I would assume it wouldn't.
Okay.
I would assume it wouldn't. However, you could opt into hotspotting a phone.
Oh, okay.
Because it's just the department's banner.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you were training them on how to do prompt engineering, you could do a 4C's activity of giving each person a persona. You're an engineer. You're a scientist. And then you guys are the tasks. You come in and tell us what to do, and you can do analog versions of training.
Yes.
So they're not.
Can't access.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Just because you're just teaching them framework of what are you putting in to what you're putting out.
Yeah.
So that if you're looking at actually training the kids, but let's assume that all kids can access outside of school. So then we can really go, well, if they can learn from TikTok and they can learn from Instagram and they can learn all these ways of prompting, let's just then focus on the actual skill of, identification of what's good and what's not, and then the ways they actually communicate out to the student.
Yes.
So you can give them structures and frameworks, and I'm happy to give you the ones that I use, and then you can just use all them.
Yeah.
And that should just give them a really good suite to do it from a really, straightforward point of view.
Yes. Because you can't just be like, hey, use AI to generate an NT bibliography.
Yeah.
You kind of need to show them how to do it.
That's it.
How to prompt it properly.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah. So if we look at the AI traffic light system, like in a nutshell, it is red, yellow, and green. It's based on like the UDL, Universal Design for Learning. And that process is usually red is hard. That's in the Universal Design for Learning. But red would be no AI, for example.
Okay.
We're trying to assess human capability at that point. It's their knowledge, their skill, their own voice. That's what we're trying to assess with red type of tasks. So those kind of could be examples of, a handwritten essay, a speech, a way you can like do group work. Or like a full practical.
Yeah.
Like that is a red task.
Yeah.
So then you go into I suppose it's the grey zone, which is the yellow. You don't know if you should go or you should like stop. This is where we assume they've got access to AI, but we're not assessing their ability to use it.
No. Okay.
So this would be like...
This would be a lot of the tasks that traditionally we've been giving them, like essays and to take home and submit on Canvas, basically.
100%. Anything that's taken home, essay-based, traditional methods would be considered yellow.
Okay.
But now, because AI is there, we've just got to be clear on like, are we going to assess their skill and use, or are we just going to want them to get it done to lead to something else? So you got to argue between the project. Is it the end outcome we're trying to get, or is it the process of trying to get to that end outcome? What is the context? Like the intent matters. So
for example, with that genetics essay, if we did it in class test, so it would be no AI in class, so that part's red. But the yellow part is then getting notes on it and stuff and making maybe a mind map for that essay.
That's exactly it. It could be the draft or the mind map or the research that they do, but how they submit it determines how you assess it. So is it handwritten? So then you're going back to a rote learning memory because they're going to be tested in person, like, or is it just they've created this document through AI? I've got this research, and then just submit as it is. Like, think about the format that you're going to get that yellow task submitted.
Yeah. Okay. Even if they use AI, they can still handwrite out their mind map that AI generated.
Yeah. Because it's more about you're trying to teach them the process of memory and recall, rather than you're teaching the process of how to use AI.
Okay.
So that would then take us into the green tasks. So the green tasks are anything that is full AI use. It's encouraged and expected to be used, but it's different to a yellow because you're now assessing their ability to use it.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
So what does their outputs look like? How in depth are they going? Are they actually getting information that can be...
Is that more for like tech, like when you're learning how to use computers and program? Is that more like, is there any scope in the science sequence to assess AI? Like,
let's put it another way. Like, you'd probably have procedural like things, and you get the kids to write a procedure of like, hey, you need to write down this procedure for doing this experiment.
Yeah.
Well, that is like a technical skill of like remembering a procedure and writing down so you can do this experiment. It's the same kind of concept when you get AI and you're assessing their use of the AI. So you're trying to get them to show you the process of what they've done.
How they did it,
And it's like the working of what they've done to get a result or to get a end product. So like an example would be in that same case you're looking at for say the biotech essay. The first thing is they're going to use various different types of AI to do the research. Then they're going to synthesize that down to a consumable document that's actually relevant to their context of learning. Then they're going to generate a mind map from all that learning, and then that would be just submit as is. And then they're going to look at the yellow task if you wanted to aspect of it, like the yellow part, and then they can handwrite that, or they can present their knowledge that they've learned.
Yeah.
Like there's different ways. It's just, it doesn't mean you have to assess AI, but you sort of want to go, well, what's the purpose of using it then?
You could, Kate, I reckon you could do things like, let's say you research, what do we do, stem cell. They could do an AI search on that, but then you can ask them to, verify the data that it's got, that where's the data coming from, the reputable sources. Maybe they can go back and find the original sources that the AI have sourced it from.
Yeah. And the thing is, you can use various different AIs, and you can even show them. There's ones that do deep research that reference, and they actually scrape like academic journals, and there's things like Perplexity. It's got a free version of like deep research, where it'll show you the thinking that it's doing to do all these tasks.
You've got a list of the AI.
Yeah. So what I'm going to be doing is, obviously, I've been running these trainings and I've been recording them, and I've been creating like cheat sheets, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm
Nisha, with the robotic, with the...
It's getting kicked out.
There you go. Thank you.
So that's nice. The kids come up and say, "Oh, who are you?" Yeah. So what I'm going to be doing is opening up. Yeah, right. So, like after a conversation, and I can even add you in early, but basically I've recorded all these trainings. I've created like small summary documents with the recommended like minimum viable toolkit, the AI traffic light system, and then the one I'm about to run tomorrow, which is all about meta prompting and chatbots. So all those resources are going to be in a community page that I've put together.
Okay.
Is that going to be stored on Teams?
No, it's a completely different platform, because I lose everything department as soon as I leave the country. So it's going to be hosted in a platform called School, and basically it's a platform I've been running a paid community for the last nearly 2 years. So everyone in there at the moment is paid to be in there, but you guys will get it for free as my little gift to everyone. So yeah, so in there you'll find the list of tools,
So
and
you're
then I'll email it through, and then you can just join, and then you can grab all the stuff you want.
Cool.
So if we come back to your scale that you're looking at, we can figure out first, like before you go through, hey, let's categorize, red, yellow, green. What is the intent of the assessment? We still got to look at what's the end outcome. What is the end, like, is it the skill we're trying to develop? Is it the knowledge? Is it backwards mapped from the HSC, which still needs to be handwritten? What is the intent of this assessable piece? And is it worth assessing? So that's why we look at those yellow tasks, and they're not necessarily assessed. They're just like homework-ish tasks where you can ask the students to do a specific thing to learn a skill, but you're not assessing it. You're just getting them to go through a process of learning. Yeah. So intent first, look at what is your end outcome of that assessment, and then backwards map that to, is it red? We want to learn, like assess their learning and their human skills. Or is it yellow, where we're just going to get a combination, assume they've got AI? Or is it green, where we're going to expect them to use AI for whatever task?
Yes.
And you can get away from, like when you get into the zone, you can get away from traditional assessment creation if you really wanted to. Like AIs can do all sorts of things these days. You can get them to create games, you can get them to do presentations, all these kind of things with it.
Yeah.
But again, that's a stretch if we're just looking at traditional assessment processes. So the question I would have then is, if we look at, say, the Year 10 biotech essay that you're looking at doing, what's the skill or the intention of that task? Like, what's the requirement for Year 10 to do it? Like, what are your constraints that you need them to sort of come out on the other side with?
I suppose the understand. Do you want us to say that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the intent of the task is for them to understand the technology involved in biotech, to understand what that technology has for society, and because a lot of them are controversial, like stem cell research, for example.
Yep.
So what are the pros and cons? So we look at the pros and cons for STEM research. why it's important for society and why society might reject that research. It's them to understand that the science technology is happening and it's been created over this time and we're now at this stage with it. But then what are the ethical debates? We show them My Sister's Keeper.
Okay, I haven't heard of that one.
My Sister's Keeper. Actually, we don't know. We do Gattaca, don't we?
We do Gattaca.
Yeah, have you seen Gattaca?
No.
It's very noir. It's quite old. It's got Ethan Hawke in the film.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
So they've got to look at the advantages, disadvantages, but then you've got to look at the ethical. They have to kind of make a judgment, basically. Like in their essay, they kind of have to debate whether or not it's justified.
So you're really getting them to get to that point of like critical reflection and justification.
Yeah.
So if you look at your Bloom's taxonomy, and that's obviously the top pinnacle of like, critical thought, you can sort of start looking at what AI component can fit into the Blooms. Is it you're trying to get them to use AI for the identifying, describing and explaining section, and then using their own ability to, synthesize and then evaluate and analyze?
Well, yeah, that's what I think maybe the essay should be in the end. So we use AI because I did use it a little bit last year with them, to think of the pros and cons around it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and provide facts to support the evidence, basically, to support those things.
Brilliant.
Yeah, they can have evidence to go either, they have to go either way. But at that point, I say it doesn't matter what you think. I want to know what the pros and cons that you can think of with this. There's heaps of them. An easier one would be...
IVF, yeah.
Yeah, they do vaccines,
yeah.
stem cell research.
Cool.
And we put vaccinations in there as well because, not that Darren like that, but...
The COVID.
Because
yeah.
technically, should everybody be vaccinated? Shouldn't they? Should we be forced into it? But then, so they have difficulty thinking at that high level of pros and cons. Once they've got the pros and cons, I'd like them to use AI to get them because it gets them onto that higher band level quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Then I want them to talk about the pros and cons, but then I want maybe for the essay their values. But they have to back it up.
They have to back with evidence.
Yeah.
So,
back with evidence. Not just, I don't think it's right. I don't think it's right because...
Yeah, brilliant. So you're really using the AI to find first the evidence and then help justify their position. So they could sit on whatever side of the fence, and then they just need to have the research. And essentially, you're looking at nearly like an undergrad. You can't have an opinion. You just need to say what the research says.
Yeah, because they've got to have, I think it's 3 paragraphs and for the body, and in each one they have to start with their argument, the pros and cons, and then I think they have to link it back, conclude, link it back, kind of thing. So that's the structure of the essay. It has been in the past.
Yeah. So you still.
I think we might go and go. Okay,
Yeah. So
it's done before.
Yeah.
Now
Do
we
we?
can actually test you on your ability to understand what you've got of that AI.
Yeah. So what do we do? Like, what do we actually make them write? Kind of in the end, after all of this.
So do you need? Well, the question would be, do you want them to write? Is that the skill you're trying to? Remember the intention of like, what is the thing they're trying to be able to communicate? Is their opinion or their research? How do you want that communicated? Is it, a presentation? Is it written? Is it?
I feel like it has to be written in the end just so that it's valid, because how do you know they haven't used AI to generate the presentation? Like, that's not the end goal.
Yeah. So that's what I was sort of challenging on, is it like, well, you're getting the help with the presentation, but you actually have to communicate. You have to get up in front and you have to, that's just a way of, what is the skill they're trying to get? Is it the rote, remember, write down and justify through written language, or is it verbal language? And so if it's essay, fantastic, and you can do exactly what you said. Your green is your research and it's expected and you need to then justify. If you wanted to break it down and have a yellow task in there as well, just like 3 parts, you can do like what you already said, get that information, then hand draw or hand write a scaffold or a template that's submitted, and then you've got the in-person. Now you can review your template, you've got 15 minutes, and now you're going to hand write, and you've got a timed condition. Like that's a simple lesson or assessment, and you can then just do your time frames. But if you came back down to how do you communicate that, it's just in your assessment notification. This is, part 1, 2 and 3. Here's the green part. We're using expected to use AI. I suggest you use one of these two. Yellow part, this is what you're going to do. You can use AI, but you're going to handwrite submission part of that, and then the third part, you're going to do this in class, and there's no AI use. And you sort of just that's that process. But again, that's a very large body of work, and so it's like, what is the? If you look at that's year 10, we expect them to push hard on research and justifications. If you came down to year 7 and year 9, the same questions like, what is the intent of the thing that you're trying to assess them on, and where can AI fit, or what are you going to communicate? Are you going to say, hey, look, you are able to use it, or aren't you able to use it? You don't have to use it. Green doesn't mean it's best, and red doesn't mean it's bad. It's just depending on, are you assessing the human skill or the technology learning process? Yeah?
Yeah.
Which, I suppose for the juniors, which are you more curious on? For assessment processes and communication, is there a concern that, they're just feeding it through, spitting out and submitting whatever they got? What's the...
for example, so the 7 and 9 are new curriculum, so we just put out a game in year 7, so they had to create a game, build the game, and make 2 little project cards. The first 3 instructions, but the second one, which is more interesting to me, is all the forces and the force diagrams associated with it. It's if I was a sensible AI kid, I would have gone, can you give me an original game? Involves 3 different forces that I can build. I sort of don't want, in a way, I don't want kids to use AI. I want them to use their imaginations. But then with AI, you can get so many different varieties, and you've still got to be able to come back to make the thing.
Yeah, that's
So, I go, maybe it's not that bad, because you've got more than my one idea that I thought of in my head and I couldn't get around it.
Yeah, and often you've
given me all these different ones.
Yeah, often you're hand feeding them ideas sometimes. The kids that can't come up with something, oh, just do this one, so you could probably get a much better idea out of AI. So that could be a yellow or
assume they're using.
Yes.
And let's face it, in the real world, they could just use AI anyway.
Yeah. But so it sounds like the I suppose the learning component of that, or the accessible component, is the end product they produce rather than the ideation phase. So if you thought about their intent, what is the thing? Is it the project or the process you're trying to learn from? And it sounds like it's more the end product rather than the process of development. So
the only bit of that task I'd worry about, because I really want them to understand the process.
Yep.
If they could literally produce a product on AI, so maybe they do that bit, but then we test them, we take everything away from them and they go, okay, or a different scenario, now explain to me the scenarios around this one. So we take that little part away so we can make sure that they are learning it.
Yeah, and you've got whatever sort of strategy or teaching style you want to test the knowledge. And that comes down to a red task then, because you're now testing their human ability to recall at a identification or a described level. So, is there anything in regards to the assessment, the start of it or the end of it, that you're wanting to sort of dive in a little bit heavier on?
For that year 10 one?
Oh yeah, year 10, year 7, year 9, whatever specific assessment or
you mean
area.
In the sense of using AI to...
I think I just want to be consistent across all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much there's a at the start they see the traffic light thing, they know that's in there.
Yeah.
They know that there's a whiz. So I'm thinking about traffic light corner, a whiz corner.
Yep.
And then once you turn over the page, it tells you which parts.
Yeah, brilliant.
You can use the AI, where the whiz comes into it.
Yep.
But consistency, I think, is the major thing. So every time they get an assessment that they know in science.
Yeah.
I'm now taking people's playgrounds. they understand exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Seen it from 7 to 10, and then maybe even 11 and 12.
Brilliant. Yeah, comes through the communication of the notification. So, you know, when you've got on that front page of the template at the moment, there's a nice simple spot that's got plagiarism and copyright. You can just put it in there. Here's the AI expectations traffic light, and you can break them down. And then the same with the whiz. Here's what the writing style is going to be, the social rhetorical purpose, whatever component of whiz you're looking at can go into that there. And then as you put it through Canvas, as you issue each part of your task, clear, this is red, no AI, this is yellow, or this is green, and then just re-communicate so they can see visually what it is, and then small little explanations. So coming back to your frameworks you're looking at for teaching the kids, to give them, explicit teaching of this is how you can prompt, this is how you can use AI to do this specific task. One of the best things you can do is give it examples. And so you can show the kid, hey, look, this is what I want to write like, or this is the research I want, because it can then model it. So rather than them just, give me 5 ideas for biotech, it's here is a specific example that you've probably generated through AI, or you've done the research, or here's a prompt you could possibly use to get you started.
Yeah.
And the simple framework that Google put their information out on for prompting is just 4 pieces, and it's persona. Give it a title or a job.
Yeah. Then
you go to your task, simple. What are you expected to do, or what are you telling it to do? Then you've got your context, which is your most important. Context enables accuracy, so making sure you're really putting in the constraints. And this is where you can literally upload the assessment notification, the marking criteria, and the specific writing style and all that kind of stuff in there. And then the format is the last component of that framework for prompting, which is how are you wanting it put out from the AI? Is it dot points? Is it paragraphs? Is it a slideshow? Is it a web design? Is it an infographic? What is it? And if you just follow those 4 pieces, so persona, task, context, and format, it's a very, very simple framework to really dramatically improve your students' ability to actually prompt. So,
can you say those 4 again?
Yep. Persona, task, context, and then format. Simple one. If you really wanted to take them further, and even for you as teachers, you can do reflective prompting or responsive prompting. And that is the ability to go,
I want you to refine.
Yeah, I want you to refine, or give me questions to answer so you've got more context.
Yeah.
So it's either you asking questions for context, or you are giving it straight explicit instruction.
So I'm thinking about the end as well, to get the kids to reflect on their every single time with 4 Cs.
Yep.
Would you grimace at that, Vaughn, or would you go, okay, that sounds sensible?
I would say that's a great idea. What I've been doing with the 4 Cs in all of my AR workshops is doing, the creativity cascade. It's what did you notice? Why? What's the next one? It's I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's evaluating, and then it's justifying your position.
Okay.
So it's a really good framework. If you look at any of those frameworks from the 4 Cs, they've usually got 4 questions, and it's the structure that you can ask. And even if you don't communicate what that infographic is to the kids, but use that questioning style through your assignments or at the end, that'll really get them to evaluate.
At the moment we've been getting, because we've got the circle on there, and we go, okay, from that, what are the 3 main things that you used? But they can't just go grit, they have to get all 3 marks. They have to go, I required grit because It's just to get them writing in sentences as well. And realising, maybe the question we should ask is, what 3 ones did you have, and what's the 4th one to get a better mark you needed to do?
Yeah, so a really good way I saw that done the other day, because it's super hard, I've found, to get the kids to write about it, is to either put one of those, the learning disposition wheel on the ground and give them 3 notes, and then use one of those question styles. What did you notice? What went well? Or what could have gone better? And then write just on the post-it notes, very small, and then they put it down on one of the wheels and then they talk about why. One of the wedges, rather than just write, submit, or use AI to write, submit. It's more about getting them to come back as a group and be like reflective in that process. But using any of those processes, 4Cs ones or not, like one of the ones I use for the AI workshops is the picture this, pick an image that where you started from, your knowledge, and once you've finished, where are you now? And then reflect on the image. Oh, look, I had no idea what, stem cell research was. Now I feel like, I'm a cog in a wheel, that I'm just a well-oiled machine right now about science, tech, getting them to communicate verbally is the strong sort of push at the moment in the AI space, because that then translates straight into prompt engineering, which then can get them to create, because they don't actually have to type their prompts. They can just speak at AI these days. You can just, word dump and then get it to clean it all up for you.
Yeah.
So Alexa started before all this. Hey Alexis.
Yeah, Siri and Alexa and, hey Google and all those kind of things. Yeah.
Okay.
So
we've got 2 days in week 9 to...
Brilliant. So let's go to you then on how to actually process all this, because you don't have to be the workhorse to get it. Let's use AI to do it for you.
Yeah, we need the prompts.
Yeah, you need the prompts. You need to apply what you're about to teach. So it's the same concept you're trying to get the kids to teach. Is your intent. What are you trying to get it to do? Give it an example. So you create one.
Yeah.
Here's my framework. Here's my traffic light system, and you can copy my one out of the community that I've got. And you can use, here's the traffic lights, and it's literally tells them what it is. Now for this task, and you've got your description that you've probably generated with AI, or you've word dumped it, and then you've got it finessed so an 8th grader can read it and understand what you're talking about, or a year 10 one can understand based on the requirements of your syllabus. And then you just put that framework into whatever AI you're using and say, now identify the 3 components. Where do they sit in the traffic light system? Write a very small description to go in the assessment notification. You should be able to smash them out in 10 minutes a piece once you've got your framework.
We got the assessment sorted, which will take us 2 days.
Yeah.
I think the first thing we'll sit down and do is also map out, obviously which modules, but we like to do different things. Like we like having a prac, we like having an essay, we like having we like having different things.
Right.
So because there'll be 4 main tasks, and then we're introducing other tasks. So we're introducing valid questions and stuff like that. So we don't usually have a test, because we're testing the boy through valid.
Yeah.
To help them out in that way.
Yeah.
We've done that out first, and then
to be ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're having fun with them.
So.
We'll get those right in a year.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. Well, if you think, okay, that sounds good. So your first step then is, work out what style of assessment you're looking at for year 7 and year 9 for your new curriculums. Like, remember your intent. What are you intending to assess on? What skill basically are you trying to get them to communicate? And then you can do that. You've got the expertise. You know what your students should be learning based on whatever curriculum is coming through. And then once you understand, okay, we're going to assess this component, you can put in whatever framework you want to use, whatever writing structures and styles from the whiz you want to use, whatever specific traffic light you want to use, or you could ask AI to help you with that process. Remember, we talked about process and product with AI for students. Like, what are they doing? Are they using it as a process of learning, or are they just creating this thing? It's the same for you when you use it. Are you trying to get it to help you brainstorm, or are you actually getting it to just craft this document? What is the thing you want it to do? If you know that, it makes it so much easier for when you actually sit in front of the thing and start writing.
Yeah.
Because then you can use your context and your examples, like, here's an example of a previous assessment task.
Yeah.
Here's my Bloom's taxonomy, here's my common grade scale, use the language, and then away you go. So if you do that for once, you can essentially create a meta prompt, and a meta prompt is a framework for that specific writing style or that assessment style. So once you've done it once, a simple question you can, statement you can say to in your feed that you're going through is, now we've completed, X task. You are next. You're now going to review this and identify the key steps that AI would need to use to reproduce this kind of task for a different context or a different assessment. And then it'll create the prompt for you, and then you just copy that prompt into a new chat and then upload all your examples that you want it to use, and then it'll go.
That's your prompt.
Yeah, it's your prompt. That's called a meta prompt.
That's the gold.
That's the gold. That's the stuff that you have saved, and then you can just reuse over and over and over again.
Right. You got some meta prompts on your website.
Yeah, I will. That's what we're doing tomorrow.
Okay. Right. And that's your meta prompt.
Yeah. So once you've got it doing what you want it to do, that's when you ask it to break it into a framework or a meta prompt.
Yeah. Okay. It's just being able to write the best. You got to do it.
Yeah.
You're not free to go to Vaughn tomorrow. You're not here tomorrow.
Yeah, I work Wednesdays. Every Wednesday. Is it Wednesday tomorrow? Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Is it after school?
Yeah, it's 3:10 to about 4:30.
Okay.
If you
Where
can't,
is it?
Q18, I think.
18. Okay. Yeah.
If you can't make it, I'm going to record it, and then it's going to be in the community. Yeah, we're going to do a bit of hands-on.
Okay.
Vaughn's picked the day where I tutor intervals.
All right. I'll see if I can go. Yep. So that's Wednesday.
Yeah, yeah. So that one's tomorrow.
Yeah. Good.
All right. Well, I better get to this queue. Is okay.
Yeah, that's it.
All right.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, bring any of your questions, and when I send you a link to join the platform, just sign in, and then it'll go, and you'll have all the recordings of the sessions and all the worksheets, so you can use those to put into your AI to get to use your frameworks.
Okay.
Yeah, pleasure.
And what was the AI that can write your CV?
Yeah, Sam's got to go there too.
Yeah, cool. So if you're looking for CV writing, when you jump in the community, I've got a full meta prompt there for you.
Oh!
Yeah?
Sorry, you're tripping.
Well, can you please email that?
Yeah. So, yeah, that's there. But if you're looking for really, really high-end writing and something that can, review previous work, yeah, I'd invest in Claude. That's my go-to for writing, and that's the one that I can show you through the community that I've used. But yeah, all you need is examples. Oh yeah, everyone does. Everyone does. It's an Australian trait, yeah. But yeah, I'll send it through to you and then see what you can do. Yeah. No, all good. Anything else? Or it's enough. Yeah, enough head exploded right now, and.
That's really good. Like, I'm really glad you come up with it just before we're about to do this, because it'd be nice to get it really good. I mean, we're always going to refine it,
It's smarter, not harder.
That's
we've
it.
been doing these for quite some time. So
Yeah.
we've got to get this really quite good at the start
Yeah.
and consistent across, because that's what we're not. And like, it's great that the school's freed up money that the three of us can sit together and nut them out. And then hopefully the others don't go, I don't think that's... The others are supportive. I suspect most of them will be, so...
Yeah, I'm sure it will be. Once you've done all the work, they'll probably love it. Yeah, unreal. Yeah, you can do it all.
Everybody to rewrite the outcomes. I'm not having DET outcomes that parents can't understand.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They're really nice little outcomes.
Yeah, it makes more sense. Makes more sense.
Oh my god, my computer's
Yeah,
yeah,
cool.
You could. Yeah, fantastic. All right,
Alright.
too easy.
Thanks. Sam.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thanks, Vaughn.
No, pleasure.
Appreciate your time.
Happy to help.
Yeah, thank you, Vaughn. And sorry about all the to and fro stroke air.
Yeah, no, that's all good. Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, you too. See you, Sam.
Try and come tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, no stress.
Well, I think I need a bit of help on this.
Right, see ya.
Alright, see ya. ya.